Hey guys, it is Mershdd. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a champion guide for you guys, and the champion who you've probably already seen in the thumbnail and in the title of the video, but he is my favorite champion, favorite epic champion in the whole game, but he has got a shoe-in as contender for my favorite champion in the whole game, legendaries included, and it is my guy Farrakin the Fat, or as I call him, Fat Man. So, I'll just go quickly into sort of what his abilities are, and then I can talk about why these abilities are just, in my opinion, so strong. And I think he's probably the most versatile ally attack champion in the game. So he's got an A1, which puts out the big version of decreased defense, 50% chance of placing it when booked, which means it's basically a coin flip every time whether or not it's going to land. But it'll be 55% with the sniper mastery. His A2 puts out a HP burn and two poison debuffs. You have a 100% chance of placing them. And it also smacks really hard. And the best thing about it is that it's on a 3-turn cooldown. So you're getting these two debuffs out for 2 turns every 3 turns. Essentially what this means is that because bosses are generally going to be slower than your champions, it means that you can start stacking up these poisons with just Fahrakin alone, because the cooldown on this ability is just so short, and it's 2 poisons each time. Then you've got his A3, which is an ally attack for everybody in your team apart from Farrakin. But Farrakin places increased crit rate and increased crit damage by 30% on everybody before they all join in for this ally attack. And it's obviously all targeted on one enemy unless you're using champions that have an AoE A1. But yeah, essentially, this ability alone means that you can build, like if you're building a team to clear like a certain dungeon, a certain boss in Doom Tower or clan boss, and you know that Farrakin is going to be a regular for that team, it means that you can build every champion in that team with 30% less crit rate, which is honestly huge for trying to squeeze out like the most efficiency that you can with builds. I think for me, it's just by far the best ally attack, just because he puts increased crit damage on all of your team as well. And then you've got his passive, which is going to deflect 20% of all incoming damage that this champion receives onto all allies. The damage will be spread equally across all allies. Now, this I feel like is very underrated by a lot of people. Yes, it's only 20% of incoming damage, but obviously that's going to scale with how much damage you're actually taking. So say for example you're using Farrakin in a clan boss team, not an unkillable team, but like a traditional team. You can actually build Farrakin to be your stun target. And obviously with the stun, it's based on your champion's HP, and it scales up every single time that the clan boss uses the stun. Essentially with this passive, it means that with the more damage the clan boss is doing with that stun, the more damage that Farrakin is spreading across everybody without needing ally protect. And then when you throw on ally protection and shields and heals and stuff, it just means that he is like an ideal stun target for your team, especially because he doesn't put any of these buffs on himself either, right? So he's just fantastic, I think, all round. Like he's so versatile, he can be used in so many places, and that's what I'm going to get into today. So firstly, I don't believe the Barbarian faction is open today. It is not. 2 days time, that's sad. But Farrakin, for me, is essential for the Barbarian crypt, especially if you want like a good time, or even if you're just trying to progress through some of the bosses, because he has what I think a lot of Barbarian champions lack, especially like accessible ones. He can just shred through bosses. He's got the ally attack, which gets all of your team involved apart from him, just to literally go in, get your War Master procs in, get the debuffs that they might have on the A1. So say for example you're pairing him with a Sile of the Drakes. With the ally attack, not only is she going to do more damage because of Farrakin's buffs, but she's also going to get another turn to either get the War Master proc out or the decreased speed on her A1. So there's just so much like extra utility, and it just makes everything so much more consistent when you can guarantee that these kind of debuffs are definitely going out on the boss that you're trying to kill. Not only that, as I mentioned, his A2 I think is a boss killer. You've got HP burn and you've got 2 poison debuffs on a boss, and obviously those 2 debuffs are going to do damage based on the enemy's HP, or max HP rather. So if you're going against a boss, they're going to have very high HP. So whenever the boss takes a turn and Farrakin's got those like debuffs stacked on the boss, he's just going to shred, right? That, and also the ally attack is very good at trying to deal with the waves as well in faction wars, especially when you get the annoying like Valkyrie waves that you're just lacking damage for. Well, Farrakin alone means that you can basically really comfortably, very easily single out one at a time. Because you've got the ally attack where your whole team goes on that one target, And then you've got the HP burn and 2 poisons, plus he's got the decreased defense on his A1. It's huge, it's huge. So the first one I'm actually going to showcase him in is Spider. Now, the reason I'm choosing to do this is I did already make a video where I sort of showcased the teams that I use to try and beat the 25 dungeons on auto for the first time, and this is one of them, right? This is a all epic or easy to get, like free to play team. So it's a very accessible team for people to be able to make. And obviously, unless you have specific like HP burn, reset champions, or like CC champions, Spider 25 is very difficult to try and clear for the first time, especially if you're an account that's just sort of like progressing up. You might not have like some crazy OP champions, and you're just looking to sort of try and clear it best you can. Well, that's where this sort of team came to me from. Well, this is the team I built because of it. So the reason Farrakin, I think, shines in this particular team is that we're using a lot of champions here who have very effective A1s, as well as increasing the damage for everybody, which gives them a higher chance of landing their debuffs, as well as having that decreased defense on an A1. It just means that we can consistently have the decreased defense on the Spider at all times, even though I know we do have a Stag Knight for that reason, but Stag Knight also has the decreased speed on his A1. And bear in mind, Stag Knight is negative affinity. Essentially what I'm saying is the ally attack from Fahrakin is going to make it so Drexler can get his HP burnout on the Spider, and then you have 2 chances from Sile and Stag Knight to get the decreased speed out on the Spider as well. And just from having Farrakin alongside those 2 A1s, it just means that decreased speed never falls off this Spider. Because the Spider is running so slowly, it means that we can literally use the ally attacks, get some HP burns out, get the War Master procs in, and basically whittle this Spider down over time. And we have Sile and Miscreated Monster to make sure that we don't die and make sure that we actually win this like battle of attrition against the Spider. It's an extremely consistent team because Sile has a revive as well. But Farrakin just enables this team to like tick at a more consistent and a much faster pace than what you'd be able to achieve without Farrakin, right? Because he's increasing the damage, he's making sure the debuffs that we need are out on the Spider. And also look at these poison debuffs that Farrakin is able to stack over time because we have these decreased speed sort of debuffs out, right? It just means that we can be so like consistent, so fast. And obviously I'm saying fast, this is not a speed run team. I'm just saying like this is a team for progression. If you're coming up, this is just like one of the first areas that you can start to use Farrakin in if you do happen to pull him, and you're struggling with trying to push to the later stages, right? But yeah, that's essentially how he's going to work on Spider. I'm not going to leave the whole thing playing because I've already done that on a previous video. I'll leave the link to that in the description. But yeah, we'll move on to the next boss now. Okay, and the second dungeon that we're going to showcase Fahrakin in is Fire Knight. And the reason I'm going to try and include as much as possible in this guide is because I really want to showcase how versatile this champion actually is. Farrakin, by the way, sorry, this is the exact same team as the Spider one. We've just dropped Miscreated Monster in place of Cold Heart because obviously it is Fire Knight. And Cold Heart is just going to give us a bit extra value when it comes to the boss, keeping the turn meter down and breaking the shield, right? Now, Cold Heart also synergizes so well for Fahrakin, especially against Fire Knight, because obviously with Fahrakin bringing the ally attack and Cold Heart having a 4-hitter for an A1, it means that we just absolutely shred through the Fire Knight's like shield without any problem at all, right? Farrakin's going to do the ally attack. Cold Heart's going to get 4 hits on, plus the 4 that she would get from taking a turn anyway. So that's 8 hits on the shield just from having Farrakin and Cold Heart in the team. It's pretty insane. And also during the waves, they can be annoying. So we've got Sile to help provide the CC, along with Drexler as well. But Farrakin, again, increasing the crit rate, increasing the crit damage, just trying to get through these beefy waves as fast as we can. But the main reason that we do have Farrakin in this team is for the boss, right? Obviously, there's going to be better champions that you could bring in who could just nuke the waves, no problem. But then chances are when you get to the boss, they're not going to be able to do as good of a job as Farrakin is going to do. So similarly to the Spider team, this team is very consistent. The reason for it is Coldheart is the only one who's ever really at risk of dying. And then we've got Sile to pick her back up as soon as she does. But we've also got Farrakin alongside a whole host of A1s, which are just really good to bring into Fire Knight. And again, we have Stag Knight and Sile, both with decreased speed on their A1s. And with Farrakin, it just gives us an extra chance to make sure that these like debuffs, like the decreased speed, is going to be on the boss the whole time to give us as much time in between the shields as we need to just be able to down the boss, right? We have Coldheart with a 4-hit A1, Stag Knight with a 2-hit A1, Drexar with a 3-hit A1, and Sile I think is a 1-hit A1. But look at that, we get Farrakin taking a pretty early turn with his ally attack, and straight away the shield is gone. We can start layering our debuffs onto the boss. And as you can see, we've landed the heal reduction thanks to Coldheart, but Farrakin has placed a HP burn and 2 poisons on the boss as well. And bear in mind that these will still do damage to the boss even though he's got his shield up. The other thing that's so good about Farrakin is that whenever he gets his ally attack back up, as you can see there, the shield from the Fire Knight literally just gets ripped off straight away. And this is on stage 25 as well, so it's not exactly easy to do. The other good thing is as well though, if we happen to like break the shield halfway through the ally attack, and Sile is like one of the last people to go, well, her A1, not only does it place decreased speed, but it will also drop the turn meter a little bit. And again, that just buys you more time to squeeze in the damage that you need to be able to squeeze in. Like I said at this, with the Spider one, this is not a fast team, it's not a speedrun team by any means. This is just a team basically built for people like trying to progress through the game and don't have like a whole host of OP champions to choose from. Here we literally have 2 epics, a rare, and then 2 free to play legendaries that anybody can obtain, right? And yeah, it just shows that if you bring like the right combination of champions, that pretty much any content, well, not any content, obviously there's some areas which is just insane, like Sand Devil and Hydra, especially with these like base bosses, I guess I'd call them, like the original dungeons of the game. Um, the right combination of champions can very much beat them. It's not a problem. And it's just showcasing that Farrakin can easily slot into one of these teams and do a very, very solid job. Okay, guys, and the next area that I'm going to showcase Farrakin in is going to be Dragon. Now, Dragon is honestly probably the easiest boss out of the 4 main ones, that being obviously Spider, Fire Knight, Dragon, and Ice Golem. Dragon's probably the easiest one for anybody to get to. Again, this is just to sort of showcase a team that has Fahrakin in it, and show what kind of value he actually brings to the team. With this team, I have replaced like the miscreated monster Coldheart space with Ninja. The reason for that is just to give us a bit more speed with the runs, because the last couple of runs have taken quite a long time. But if you're trying to build this team again to try and conquer Dragon 25 for the first time, all you need to do is replace Ninja with somebody that has, I guess, some kind of AoE, but is predominantly just a boss killer, just because you want some kind of burst damage when you get onto the boss. So this could be an Armiger, it could be a Coldheart, it could be a Royal Guard, it could be, I guess, a Septimus as well could work, or an Acrisia as well. She would be really good for this team. The whole concept of this, right, is poisons and HP burns do a lot of work when it comes to Dragon. Obviously, like waves are waves. This is pretty much the same kind of rules as I said with the Fire Knight waves. They're just beefy. You just need to get through them. Once you get through them and you're onto the boss, that's where Farrakin starts to really shine. Farrakin, he's already put decreased defense out on the boss, and already everybody's starting to smack that little bit harder because of it. I just want to cycle through to the abilities. Okay, so that's where we've brought in a burst champion, and then look, the ally attack again. It does about the same with the ally attack as Ninja's hail burn would do, and I guess for an ally attack against a boss, that's pretty strong, right? But already he's starting to get the poisons and the HP burn out, and we're going to start to see value from this when the dragon actually gets to take a turn, if he gets to take a turn, honestly. But we another ally attack in, huge damage coming out, hail burn from Ninja, like more burst damage. It's just huge, right? And bear in mind, Farrakin kind of keeps himself alive when you're against these kind of bosses, because the bosses all hit in AoE. So he's just going to spread the damage amongst everybody, and then Sile is going to heal it all back up again, which is lovely. But yeah, I don't think we're going to get to see. Maybe I missed it, I don't know. But either way, Farrakin comes in with 1.6 mil damage. He's got the second highest damage in the team, obviously, aside from Ninja, who is just an insane boss killer. He is like Farrakin on steroids, pretty much, when it comes to killing bosses. Okay, the next area that I'm going to showcase Farrakin in is Clan Boss. I am not going to do a clan boss run right now because I've already done like Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare for the day, so I'm probably going to use a key on Brutal. But this is the team that I would normally use against Ultra Nightmare clan boss. It's a really solid like double block damage team with Roshard and Helicath. And obviously this is quite an end game team for people to build, but this team, I promise you, is made so much better by having Fahrakin in the DPS slot alongside Ninja. The reason for it is we have Helicath, who has a weakened A1. We have Seeker, which is just like a multi-hit A1. Roshard, again, he is a multi-hit A1, but he and Ninja both have Brimstone, and Ninja has decreased defense on his A1. Now, because it's an unkillable team, we want weaken and decrease defense on the clan boss as consistently as possible, just because we want to try and squeeze in as much damage as we can into this clan boss run um, within 50 turns. Because after 50 turns, the whole team sort of just dies and we can't squeeze in any more damage. So the whole concept of this team is obviously you've got the double block damage and Seeker to make sure that they're going fast enough to be able to keep that block damage up on a 4-to-3 ratio. We've got Ninja, who is like our main damage dealer, but Farrakin, he makes this whole team tick, honestly, because he brings increased crit rate and increased crit damage on everybody. So everybody for that 50 turns is doing 30% extra crit damage worth of damage. Everybody in this team can be built at 70% crit rate, which means that we can squeeze even more crit damage and attack, or in Helicath's case, defense. And it also means that we can hit the accuracy thresholds with no problem. We can just squeeze in so much damage with the team. Because Farrakin has that ally attack that puts those buffs on them, but the ally attack itself means that Helicath gets another chance at placing his A1 with the weaken. Ninja can place decreased defense as well. And then Roshard and Ninja both have the chance of placing Brimstone, which keeps Brimstone up for as long as possible. And then obviously, thanks to blessings, like we're getting value from them too, it means Helicath can stack up cruelty a lot faster too to make sure that we're decreasing the boss's defense as much as possible just to squeeze out as much damage as we can. I will leave a link to the video where I built this team. So yeah, the ally attack just brings us so much value for this particular team. And on top of that, Farrakin is the only person in this team that's bringing any poison debuffs. And he also has the HP burn as well. So we've got more consistency and like uptime on that, which is going to synergize nicely with Ninja, because Ninja's A3, it will place HP burn, but if you have to place a HP burn at the start, it won't activate it straight away, which means you only get 2 ticks of the hail burn. Whereas with Farrakin, we place the HP burn out before Ninja takes a turn, and then Ninja gets 3 sort of activation procs of his hail burn. And yeah, Farrakin is, I think he's the second highest damage dealer in this team, like quite comfortably. And then he has an A1 as well, which again gives us more uptime on that decreased defense. I have already done a video on this clan boss team, and obviously clan boss runs can take up to like 20-25 minutes, so I'm not going to go through the run just now. But again, I will leave the video description. But again, I will leave the video link in the description where I build this team and sort of go through the run and show you exactly how it works with the setup and how everybody is built. But if you look at the damage, like Farrakin, oh, I stopped this run early actually because I was trying to save time. I stopped this run early. Normally we are hitting close to H2 SO4 in my clan. Usually we're doing about 110 mil. Give or take. It's been as high as 120 before, it's been as low as like 105. We're always bouncing around that kind of bracket. But against Nightmare, I think I went to the bathroom or something and just let it run. Actually, no. That'd be a very long bathroom break. I probably went to the bathroom and then made some food. I don't know. But yeah, Farrakin, he just brings so much utility to this team, and just his presence and like his abilities just makes all of these champions shine so much more and really gets the best out of this clan boss team. Okay, so clan boss is probably my favorite area to use Farrakin in. That's just because I do really enjoy clan boss. But the second area, which I would say is his like second best area where he thrives in the game, is as part of a blender team when it comes to arena. Now, blender teams, they are really strong for being able to progress through sort of gold ones all the way through to probably about gold 4 before you start seeing some pretty stacked go second teams with Siffies and Duchesses and all sorts. But as long as you win the speed race, the blender team is just very good for farming. What I will say is with this particular one, I haven't like prepared it because I don't really use a blender team. But I have Skull Crown in like kind of damagey stun set gear, and then Ray is my campaign farmer, so she's not going to be good for PvP damage, but she is pretty good for PvE. So Uh, we'll go in and see how this works. They do have double speed booster, so I'm a bit worried. Okay, nice. We got through. And yeah, and there you see. We didn't get to one shot because, as I said, my nukers aren't built properly. But you see the value of bringing in Fahrakin and the blender team. Oh, lordy. Oh, no. Oh, it's going so well. I can't believe it. How did we lose that? Um, well, I guess the reason we lost it is because I don't have two nukers who are dedicated to PvP. We're not sort of running the best nuke gear that I've got on those particular champions, so we're not going to be able to do it. But you see the concept is there, right? Okay, so this is going to be a scary team because of the Balthus Drauglord, and his passive will reflect damage back onto us. But I'm hoping that we should just be able to shred through them regardless. Just to, again, try and showcase how the blended team is supposed to work. So you've got Arbiter increasing the turn meter, increased attack on everybody, and then you just see the blender comes in and that's the fight done. How long did that take? 6 seconds. That's how the blender is supposed to work. But yeah, as you can see, Farrakin, he brings in the increased crit rate and increased crit damage. So if I was building an arena team out using Farrakin as part of a blender setup, I would rebuild my nukers, make sure that they're running at 70% crit rate because that's all they would need with Farrakin in the team. And then just, again, stack as much damage as I possibly could and don't really worry about speed. Um, the two champions I was using, as I already said, Skullcrown is in stun set for faction wars with a little bit of damage, and Ray is my campaign farmer. So she's running quite fast because I think she goes twice maybe. Just because I wanted to use my more like hard hitting gear for my PvP people, right? Okay, and the final area that I'm going to showcase Farrakin in very briefly is actually just going to be Doom Tower Hard. Doom Tower Hard is obviously like one of the end game pieces of content that a lot of players try to get to because you get some very nice rewards for actually progressing quite high up into it. I just wanted to showcase the different bosses that a lot of the top like PvEers have been using Farrakin for. So you've got floor 40 Eternal Dragon. It's a decently high like stage, especially if you're progressing. But these people are using Farrakin here as part of like an ally attack setup with a nuker to be able to just burst through the boss as fast as possible, right? Not only is he being used in the Eternal Dragon for that purpose, you do also see him feature briefly in the Celestial Griffin. You see this guy here is using Farrakin. You can scroll down a little bit, you start to see a few more Farrakins pop up as well. Um, but I haven't progressed all the way up high, so I can't check out all of them just yet. But even with Magma Dragon, like these ally attack champions are just featured in so many places, and Farrakin is just by far the most attainable one to get. And in my opinion, like apart from maybe Cardiel, Farrakin has a shoe in of I guess being the best one, right? So it's just to showcase that you can be creative with how you use Farrakin. You can use him for the ally attack. You can use him as a boss killer with the debuffs. You can use him as a utility champion to be able to spread the damage that your team receives and heal it all back up and keep your team alive that way. But yeah, all around, I just absolutely adore this champion. I think he is arguably one of the most, if not the most, versatile epic champion in the game just because he can come in and do so many different roles for you, while still being able to, pump out damage himself and enable your team to be able to pump out damage too. But yeah, for me, if I was able to pull him on my free-to-play series, I would be absolutely gobsmacked. I'd be so happy, man. I need this belly showing up in my free-to-play. He's an inspiration, man. He's honestly like, if I could look like him when I'm older, I would be happy. Like, look how glorious he just looks, man. He just looks so happy. He's chilling. He's got his branding iron right there. Yeah. Even the aesthetics on this champion is cool. Yeah, he's just awesome. But yeah, hope you guys learned something from the video. Hope you enjoyed me covering Farrakin. I cannot praise this champion highly enough. I just think he's so undervalued at the moment. I feel like people just kind of forget how good he actually can be and how versatile that this champion actually could be as well. Hi guys, just whilst I was editing this video, I realized I forgot to recommend like how I would build him. And to be honest, Farrakin is so versatile when it comes to actually building him. and sort of where he can fit in, that he could be built in a number of different ways. You could build him in lifesteal if you're going for a traditional clan boss team. You could build him extremely fast as part of a blender team to make sure you don't get cut in. You can build him tanky for like Spider or Fire Knight and just rely on his debuffs and abilities. Or you can build him with crazy damage and go for like a very high damage like boss killing build against like clan boss or against any of the other bosses that I just mentioned. So I just wanted to mention quickly that Fahrakin is very versatile with how you want to build him. It just entirely depends on where you want to use him predominantly. I use mine in clan boss, so I've gone for a more clan boss orientated, like high damage with accuracy kind of build. But if I was to use him as part of like a blender team, then I would be just ramping up the speed. If I was using him as part of like a dungeon when I'm trying to progress for the first time, I'd pretty much just rely on his debuffs and the abilities that he brings and just try and make him as tanky as possible. Make sure he can survive and make sure that he can do his job, right? But yeah, just wanted to say that quickly. Peace. Without further ado, thank you guys very much for watching the video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. We've also hit 500 subscribers recently. I think I mentioned it in my last video, but I'm still just over the moon about that. I've only been doing this a few months, and the support that I've been getting has been huge. So, yeah, without further ado, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care and peace.